Hey guys, Paul Goldsmith, PJG Outdoors. Back to the knot tying. Okay guys, we learned the bowline knot, the classic bowline, and that is a great knot, easy to tie, easy to untie, works well. We learned the classic bowline. We learned the bowline on a bike. We learned the running bowline, and the Yosemite bowline. So if you haven't seen that video, go back and watch it, and it covers all those different knots. Today we want to talk about a couple more knots. We're getting away from the bowline, and we're going to talk about a couple of different knots. The first one we're going to talk about is the timber hitch. And being a hitch, it's not really a knot, but if I refer to it as knot, then just understand that I'm used to saying knot. So anyway, we're going to talk about the timber hitch. Now, first of all, the timber hitch is used, say if you were going to attach to this tree as an anchor point. If you had a drop off here and you wanted to rappel down that drop off, you can attach to this tree using that timber hitch. It's a great hitch for that. Also, if you were cutting this tree, and say you climbed up this tree, was going to attach a rope to it, and to pull the tree with, to get it to go in, to make sure it goes in the direction you want it to, then the timber hitch is a great knot for that. You have to be either climb the tree or use a ladder to attach the timber hitch. Whereas with the running bowline, you can use a throw rope and still get the running bowline attached up high in the tree without climbing the tree. But the timber hitch is a great knot to attach to this tree for several different reasons. If you were tying here and gonna pull something, and I'll show you how to use a lot of these things as we go along. But first of all, I want you to learn how to tie this hitch, the timber hitch. Here we go. Take the standing end. I got the standing end in my left hand, and I'm going to take it around the tree to my right hand, and then I'm going to pull it back. Now I've got the working end of the rope is on my right side, on my right hand. The standing end is on my left hand. So what I want to do is take this working end and go under the standing end, underneath, and then back across, which creates a loop around the standing end of the rope. At that point, I want to begin to loop this standing end around itself. Continue looping it around until you've got all the loops you can get out of it, and then pull it back and cinch it down. And that's the timber hitch. And it will not give. It will, the tighter you pull it, in fact, the tighter you pull it, the more these wraps constrict around this rope, the line that it's wrapped around. The more these wraps begin to cinch down, so it can't slip and it can't come loose. It is there until you untie it. It's going to stay there. It's just going to stay there. It's a great knot or a great hitch to use for rappelling when you're using a tree or a pipe or a telephone pole or something as an anchor point, but mainly trees because they're round, and it works great. You can put it on a square pole and it works, but it works even better on these round trees because it keeps that wrap even around that tree, and it just constricts down on and will not, and this will not break. The rope will break away from the hitch before this will break. This is a very strong hitch. Then when you get ready to untie it, simply open it up and unwrap it, and you're back to where you started. Put as much pressure as you want to on it, and I'll show you I'll show you in another video when we start to do videos on using this actual knot and using this hitch, I'm sorry, as an anchor point. So here we go again. Take the standing end, wrap it around the tree from left to right. I always do left to right because it's just that's my way. Take the standing end, go under the working end, pull it back across. You've created a loop around the standing end. Then begin to make your wraps. Begin to make your wraps. Continue making your wraps around that line until you can't wrap anymore. Bring it around and cinch it down. Now when you drop that, it relieves the pressure, but it does not fall. It does not come apart. It stays right there. That's a great hitch to use on a tree for any type purpose that's needed for that. And we'll go through some of those on a future video real soon. And then of course to untie, simply pull the loops out. And there you go. Your rope's just as good as it once was. Hadn't hurt the rope, hadn't stressed the rope, haven't done anything. You get your rope right back to the same length it was. That is the Timber Hitch. There, guys. The next knot we're going to be talking about is the figure 8 knot. So to tie the figure 8, first of all, you got a loop standing in on the left, working on the right. Bring the standing end around the working end. Bring it back around and through the loop. And that creates the figure 8. Okay? Now if you wanted to tie this knot, figure 8 knots used a lot for tying into a harness or that sort of thing for climbing. And so if you wanted to tie into a carabiner that was onto your harness, you can create a loop on the figure 8 by, here's your working end, drop it down, making your loop, bring it around and tie that same figure 8 knot that we just tied with the single, but tie it with double and bring it through. Dress that knot up a little bit, and there's your figure 8 knot with the loop at the end, and this will hold extremely well. And see how pretty that is? And that creates loop, and you could hook it into your carabiner. And a lot of people tie it with a long leg out there beyond the knot itself, and then come here and tie a fisherman's knot in order for a security knot. And then you have, just in case that knot were to give, you'd have a fisherman's knot at the back for a security knot to pull up if it cinches down, but it's not going to cinch down. You tie the knot right and you don't really need a security knot. But that's the figure 8. Now say you wanted to tie that figure 8 around this tree, you would go ahead and take your standing end and take your working end, wrap it around, tie that figure 8 just like what we talked about originally, and then go ahead and bring it around the tree, and then you would just retrace, follow this line, follow this part of the rope, come right through, and it goes around, and then it goes back through, and then it comes around and comes through that loop. And now you've got your figure 8 tied around that tree, and it's going to be there. It's going to stay. It's not a hitch. It is a knot. Figure 8 is definitely a knot. And figure 8 is great for climbing and that sort of thing. It's not the best knot if you're going to like dragging logs and stuff, due to the fact that it will cinch down and get a little bit hard sometimes to untie. But if you're just if you're using it for just the weight of somebody climbing, it is a great knot to use. And you can untie it very simply. That's the figure 8 knot, and that's two ways to use it. Now let's go through those again, just to make sure you got it. Okay, here's your working end on this side. Bring it through, bring it around. Can you see that? Bring it around, and then back through. That's your figure 8 knot. One more time. I hope I getting this good enough for you to see it. Take your working end, drop it down, go across your standing end, bring it back around like you're wrapping it, and then take the standing end and go through the loop. The working end, go through the loop, drop that down, and that gets your figure 8 knot. Let's tie it to create a loop. Take your working end, bring it through, drop it down, create the loop right here, bring it up, then bring it around just like you did tying the other one, bring it around and through, and then that gives you a figure 8 knot with the loop. And you can attach that into a carabiner or hook it across something to pull with. And then of course, to create that knot to hook around that tree, you go ahead and you tie that, leaving you a fair amount, depending on how big the tree is or whatever it is you're trying to tie to. Make sure you leave enough to do it. Around, back through. That gives you a figure 8 knot. Go around the tree. And we probably don't have enough. And then you just want to trace through, follow this line right here. Follow it as it goes through. And it goes around. It goes back through here. Now I got to get some extra line. Do not have enough to do that with. I'm sorry. All right, let's do that again. You got to have plenty of line over here to work because I'm dealing with a fairly large tree. Go ahead and just tie your figure 8 knot. Then come around the tree. And you've got your figure 8 knot here. So all you got to do is follow and trace out this line, come through. And you can see this line comes around. Follow it through. It goes back under here. And then it goes right through that loop. And you got your figure 8 knot. Untie it. And like I say, it will hold from now on. Do it again. You got your figure 8 knot. Go ahead and bring your rope around the tree, or whatever it is that you're wanting to tie to. And then just follow the line through. Come through. Come around. You see it going around and over. You want to come around and over. And you see it coming back through and into that loop, and that's where you want to go with it. Back through and into that loop. And you've got your figure 8 knot. You can see the figure 8 knot perfect right there. And that's figure 8 knot. It's tied around that tree. And you could use that to tie yourself off to that tree. If you're fine with with a loose tie. And in some instances that's fine, in some it's not. So always know whether you want to tie in. There's several different ways you can tie to this tree, but to me, if I was going to tie to this tree for anchor point, I would definitely use a timber hitch. Now, if you were tying to a carabiner on your climbing vest, then you'd just go ahead and tie that that figure 8. Man, what am I doing? You go ahead and tie that figure 8 and run it through your carabiner or through the loop on your climbing harness, and then you would trace through following this line. Trace through. You see it goes down and around underneath here. Then it comes back and through. You want to go back and through. And then you see it goes around and through that loop. And that's where you want to go with it, around and through that loop. Giving yourself the figure 8 knot tied into your harness for climbing. Alright guys, that's the figure 8 knot. I hope enough of that made sense for you to understand it. You can back it up, rewind it, work with it. Once you get the hang of it, figure 8 knot is a very easy knot to tie, and it like I say, it will hold. It's as strong a knot as there is out there, and in some instances it is the knot that you would definitely want to go with. In other cases it may not be, but just know how to tie it, and in the videos to come we'll show you how to use this knot effectively and how to make it work for you. Alright guys, that's the timber hitch and the figure 8 knot. Hope you enjoyed that. If you hadn't already, subscribe to my channel, hit that like button, hit that bell, and then you'll get a notification every time I upload a video. And leave me a comment and let me know what you think, and I'll try my best to answer any comments or questions that you have. Alright guys, stay safe, stay away from the COVID. I'll see you on the next one.